Drew Brees is coming out of retirement to play for the Saints again. Okay, maybe not really. Now, the Saints really did ask him to come out of retirement just to play this weekend anyway, instead of Ian Book. They just are decimated at the quarterback position. Winston's out for the year. Taysom Hill is out as well. They didn't really want to have Ian Book start yet. He's still a little green. And Trevor Siemian has not been great as a quarterback for the New Orleans Saints. So they wanted just to have some competent quarterback play, and you can't really blame them. They've asked a lot of Drew Brees, but this was going a little too far, and I don't expect it to ever happen. But with that being said, they need a quarterback, and they need one in the worst way. Let me know in the comment section what quarterback you think will be the starting quarterback next year for the New Orleans Saints. Do you think it is Deshaun Watson? Do you think it is a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers? Or do you think it could possibly be another short quarterback, active in the pocket, can really has some playoffs pedigree as well, in Russell Wilson? Russell Wilson wants out of the Seattle Seahawks. He made no secret about it this past offseason. He and Pete Carroll don't really see eye to eye anymore. They've never really invested in the offensive line, at all, since he's been there. They literally traded away their one good offensive lineman they had for a skill position player who didn't pan out either. Remember that trade of Max Unger to the Saints for Jimmy Graham? Hey, there's some history, Saints and Seahawks trades. But we'll get into that in a minute. If you're looking at Russell Wilson, how can you really blame him? I mean, they've gotten him a couple of weapons. They've never really invested in weapons, though. Where's the first-round pick on the outside? Doug Baldwin wasn't one of those top options until Russell Wilson made him one just through sheer effort and will. He willed Tyler Lockett into being a successful wide receiver as well. Now, sure, the Seahawks traded 4 picks away, but he's still a third-round wide receiver. And if you're looking at Russell Wilson and you want to say, oh my gosh, stop whining. You've got a couple of good receivers. You got a couple of good tight ends over the years. You're fast. You can move around in the pocket. You don't need an offensive line. Get real. Russell Wilson's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He deserves to have a competent offensive line in front of him instead of having to run for his life every single play and make every single play by himself. They've had an inconsistent run game ever since Beast Mode retired as well. So again, how can you really blame Russell Wilson for wanting out? Russell Wilson is still an elite quarterback depending on what you're looking at. This year, sure, his production is down, but he's been injured for the first time really this year. He's also had poor offensive line play, which has never improved since he's been there. As far as the weapons on the outside, he's got DK Metcalf, but he's running around for his life so much you can't get him the ball this year. And then we saw, of course, him get injured, and he's coming back from injury. The conflict that he has with Pete Carroll as far as offensive philosophy, as far as how to actually go about a game plan on the offensive side of the ball, it's not really working in Seattle anymore, and he just needs to get out of there. Now, if you're looking to acquire Russell Wilson, you need to have faith that he's still an elite level starting quarterback. Now, this is the first real down year that he's had since he's been in the NFL. Sure, he's had a rookie season where he's more of a game manager, but this year is the first one and he's really struggled with his performance. And we've already dug into some of those reasons why. If you're the Saints team, as long as you protect him and give him weapons, give him some decent field position with that really good defense that you have, sure, you're in a division with Tom Brady, but we've already seen Tom Brady's kryptonite is that Saints defense. Getting an elite starting quarterback like Russell Wilson really pushes your team into that next level, possibly extends that title contention window, keeps Sean Payton around for a few more years, and lets the Saints keep on rolling. Russell Wilson's chief complaint has always been about the pieces around him on the offensive side of the ball. Now, the Saints already have a really nice offensive line, so they already have the number one thing Russell Wilson has always asked for as a giant check mark for him. Second, they have really good outside weapons as far as young receivers and could possibly invest more in the offseason. As far as tailback, it doesn't get much better than Alvin Kamara, and when you're looking at the success Russell Wilson had early in his career, it's when he had a really good ground attack with beast mode. Now, Alvin Kamara isn't exactly beast mode, different type of runners, different type of skill sets. But if you're looking at Russell Wilson and you're looking between the two teams, The Seattle Seahawks, as far as their offensive weapons, and the New Orleans Saints and their offensive weapons, it's not even a contest. Saints win that one hands down. Looking at the coaching staff, Sean Payton is an elite offensive mind, and he's done great things with quarterbacks before. We saw how he performed with Tony Romo before he became a head coach in the NFL, and then we saw what he did with Drew Brees' career after Drew Brees left the San Diego Chargers, had that shoulder issue, and then came on to the New Orleans Saints, and Sean Payton and that team just took off from there. Sean Payton has had a lot of success in the NFL. As far as the quarterback position, Drew Brees wasn't exactly a tall guy. He's had to look between the offensive linemen in order to find his success. His arm, as he got older, diminished as well, and so Sean Payton had to diminish that game plan to try to find completions as opposed to trying to push the ball down the field, try to involve the tailback more. That's why they got a really good tailback to catch the ball out of the backfield in Alvin Kamara. Now, Russell Wilson is also not exactly a giant at the quarterback position, so he's also going to have to find throwing lanes between his offensive linemen. And he's had to do that through oncoming traffic, running at him because the offensive line has basically been a gate wide open, allowing those pass rushers just to come right at him, and he's had to run for his life. With the Saints, he shouldn't have that problem. As long as he stays in the pocket, if he can find a lane to throw the ball through, he should be very successful in a Sean Payton offense. Now, we mentioned earlier in the deal, the Seahawks and the Saints have a history of trades. Well, at least one really big one anyway. Remember the last really good offensive lineman Russell Wilson had? Well, that was Max Unger. Years ago, Jimmy Graham was one of the best tight ends in the NFL, and the Saints and Drew Brees were rolling as a team. However, due to cap constraints and Jimmy Graham being one of the best tight ends in the NFL, they didn't really want to have to keep paying him as a tight end position. So they traded him. They traded him to the Seattle Seahawks. They got back Max Unger, the last really good offensive lineman, again, Russell Wilson had. So we see a little bit of a history between the two teams when finding trades to make both sides happy and getting one player who might be unhappy in one situation, Jimmy Graham, Russell Wilson, and finding their next step in their career. As far as this situation goes, the Saints have plenty of assets going forward. Their defense is pretty much set. Same thing with their offensive line. They have youth at the wide receiver position. They could lose Michael Thomas, but he hasn't been there in almost a year and a half due to injury, holdouts, etc. Anyway, so losing him, how much are you really losing when he hasn't been on the field anyway? If you get him back, great. It's a bonus, but don't expect it. That also means that frees up some money for them to go out and get more pieces, more weapons for Russell Wilson to have. And that's exactly what Russell Wilson wants. That's all he's asked for in Seattle, and that's the only thing he's never really gotten there. So the Saints, if they want to have Russell Wilson and want to be a successful team, this is their shot. Make it happen. After a trade like this, whether it be getting a first-round pick back from the Saints, or if the trade value for Russell Wilson really continues to decline due to injury and poor performance as the season winds down, possibly getting a couple of seconds, or whatever the trade compensation is, I fully expect the Seattle Seahawks to rip everything to the studs. GM gone, coach gone, quarterback gone. Any of their valuable pieces like DK Metcalf could possibly be gone as well. Bobby Wagner might be the only one who stays, and that's just for Seattle legacy and all that. But he could also go because he's still a very good middle linebacker. Looking at the New Orleans Saints side of the equation, they get an elite quarterback if they still believe he is an elite, or at least a serviceable quarterback over what they have now in Jameis Winston, Ian Book, Trevor Siemian, and Taysom Hill, all of which pale in comparison to the possibility of Russell Wilson. Let me know in the comment section what y'all think, possibly be featured as the upside of the week. Remember to like and subscribe to this video and possibly be featured as that upside of the week. Thanks for joining us.